well as how to make the right purchase of a two-in-one laptop, whether you're a digital artist, graphic designer, photographer, or even, doing video editing, 3D modeling. You want that, flexible pen touchscreen capability. So we're going to talk price point, specs to keep aware of, to be aware of, and this will all help you kind of make a buyer's guide into 2025. Now, there's a lot of new devices coming out with new components. So we have new CPUs from AMD, from Intel, from Qualcomm. We have new GPUs from NVIDIA. And so how do we make a decision right now? Should we wait for that newer stuff, or should we go ahead and dive right in and make a purchasing decision? Now, first and foremost, I'm going to go into the deals, and as I'm going through the deals, I'm going to answer these questions. So if you're watching this video and you go down in the description below and click those links and you find that, oh crap, that laptop's no longer for sale, don't worry. This buyer's guide will help you understand how to make the decision, so you can then go take the information from those links and make a decision on a good deal of your own. And so I want this to be more of a long-term value than just people watching this within the day or two that it's posted, because deals change and they come and go. Now, first deal I want to look at here, of course, is the Samsung Galaxy Book Pro 360. This is the Book 5. This is the 2020, well, this would be late 2024, early 2020, late 2024 model. So it has Intel Core Ultra 7. It has 16 gigs of RAM, and it is a 2-in-1 touchscreen pen compatible laptop. This is like the premium touchscreen pen compatible laptop. It's, the MacBook Pro of the Windows. It's the ecosystem. It's the Apple ecosystem of the Windows lineup. Now, $200 off is good. However, one thing I would keep an eye on is this is a 16 gig RAM model. This can come up to 32 gigs of RAM. And that's usually where I recommend serious digital artists, graphic designers, photographers, purchasing their laptop is at 32 gigs of RAM. The reason being, like, big raw photo files, lots of multitasking, large design files, even if you're getting into some video editing. It is very helpful to have 32 gigs of RAM for those multitasking and more robust projects. So though this is a good deal, it's getting you $200 off, you want to be aware that it might be a bottleneck to you if you're more of a prosumer or a professional user of the device. So I would not say that this by itself for these specs is a great deal, but it is a great deal for the premium Samsung laptop that you're looking at. Next up would be the HP Envy 2-in-1 14 2K display, Intel Core Ultra 7, 32 gigs of RAM, and a 1 terabyte SSD. This would be a stronger deal than you would have with the Samsung. Now, again, you're not going to be in the Samsung ecosystem. You're not going to have, such a thin and light profile on the Envy, but you still have a 2K display. You still have a touchscreen pen compatibility, and you have Intel Core Ultra 7, same as before, but you have that 32 gigs of RAM and 1 terabyte SSD. That 32 gigs of RAM definitely gives you that upper hand, and the price point is far, far better, $850. Like, this is like that nice, solid price point that you're getting a premium laptop, but you're not paying premium prices. Now, these are not cheap laptops, okay? That's a big difference in confusion when I'm talking to people. They're like, that's not a good deal because it's not cheap. Cheap doesn't mean good deal. Cheap means cheap. If you don't have a lot of money in your account and you're trying to, make your money stretch, then I understand this might not be the laptop for you. You might want to be looking at a $500 laptop, a $600 laptop. I have made a full video of that, and that'll be posting on my channel soon about like where to spend your money, where to flex your money. These are going to be more premium devices, and they're going to garner more premium price points. So just keep that in mind. Okay, the next thing we're going to be looking at is the Dell Inspiron 14 2-in-1. This by far is one of the best pen compatibility with the Microsoft Pen Protocol that I have seen. I reviewed it on my channel recently, and oh my word, it is a stellar laptop as far as pen compatibility is concerned. I was blown away. Now, this is more of a little bit more mid to base model because it has 16 gigs of RAM, and you might want to get this up to 32 gigs of RAM. But it's still a great buy. And I don't know about this exact model I'm looking at here, but the one I reviewed did have upgradable RAM. So if this is in fact the same compatibility, you could upgrade this RAM. But again, I'm not making any promises. Do your research. I just found this deal and I'm bringing this to you. But 32 gigs of RAM would be a much better choice. But since you bought it for, say, $600, man, you could make that upgrade if this is upgradable and have a fantastic photography, digital art, graphic design laptop. Now, this is an IPS LED display. So it's not going to have as high of color gamut range as, say, like an OLED, but it is still a solid buy. So definitely one to be considered.
This video is brought to you by the Asus ProArt P16, the flagship creator laptop from Asus that provides on-the-go workstation performance within a beautiful and durable military-tested all-aluminum chassis, outfitted with a pen-compatible 4K OLED Corning glass display that is durable and color accurate. It weighs 4 pounds and is just over a half an inch thick, capable of all-day battery life for productivity tasks, and fitted with the Asus dial to streamline your workflow, providing access to your most commonly used tools. Equipped with the AMD Ryzen AI9 CPU, up to 64 gigs of RAM, and an RTX 4060 or 4070, this device is a powerhouse for architecture and 3D modeling work. And trust me, this is just the tip of the iceberg when looking at what the Asus ProArt P16 has to offer. Check out my full review content within the playlist linked in the YouTube cards above or in the description below. Thank you so much to Asus ProArt for sponsoring this part of the video.
All right, so getting back into here, we have a question about 14-inch gaming laptops. I'm going to go over to Best Buy real quick, and I'm just going to go ahead and search through some of these things. Now, I do have a 14-inch gaming laptop that's on sale. Now, this is mainly for 2-in-1 laptops, but I want to respect your question. And this is a pretty solid deal that I found on that video. RTX 4070, 32 gigs of RAM on the HP Omen Transcend 14, $275 off. But one thing you can actually do, which is pretty cool, you can head down in the description below, click the links and any of the models that I'm showing you here, and then you can also scroll down to the open box price and save you an extra maybe $100 or even $200 on these devices by going to Best Buy and doing an open box. So again, links in the description will send you towards Best Buy, and then you can check the specific model you're looking at and then do an open box to save a little bit of extra money. But right now, I have not seen anything that's blowing my mind. Obviously, if you've watched my channel for a while, you know I'm a huge fanboy of the Lenovo Legion Slim 5 14-inch model. Open box is $983, and that's a solid laptop, an incredible laptop, and you can basically only find them on open box right now. So that is a pretty solid buy. And then, of course, you have like the MSI Cyborg, which I've seen better prices. That's the retail price. I would wait for that to go on sale for maybe like $800 to $899, and that would be where I would grab that laptop. But not a ton of sales that I'm seeing on 14-inch laptops at the moment. But again, this video is dedicated to 2-in-1 laptops for digital artists, graphic designers, photographers. So we're talking more about that in this video. Okay, the next thing I'm going to move on to is the Lenovo Yoga 7i. This is the 2-in-1 16-inch model, 2K touchscreen pen compatible display, Intel Core Ultra 5 with 16 gigs of RAM and a 512 SSD. This is a solid buy. The Core 5 is not their best performing in this unit. You want to maybe go for like the Core 7. That gives you a bit more performance. But again, if you're on a budget and you're looking to save a little money, the $600 price point on this is really good, and you have great pen compatibility. It's a thin, light, really great design laptop. I have a full video. It's one of my best performing videos actually right now about the Lenovo Yoga 7i. I highly recommend watching it. I talk about the good, the bad, why you might want to buy it, why you might not want to buy it. So definitely check out that video about the Lenovo Yoga 7i. Here is the device I actually did the video on. This is the 14-inch version. Again, Intel Core Ultra 5, 16 gigs of RAM, and then it's a 512 SSD. So you can get either the 16-inch or the 14-inch for $550. And for me, that's getting down into that, cheaper price point that people are looking for. I definitely recommend it. The one big drawback for digital artists, graphic designers, and photographers is, of course, the non-color accurate display. It's going to be like 64% sRGB or something crazy. So it's not super color accurate. Keep that in mind. That's one area where you will be getting a deal, but you'll be drawn back if you're a digital artist, a creative professional. All right, the next thing up is the HP Envy 2-in-1. This is the 16-inch model. If you're not a big fan of Lenovo, you can go ahead and check out HP. They have the 2K display, 16-inch model, even more affordable than the Lenovo version. Again, this is going to be one of those areas where you're not going to have as good of color accuracy, but also, and it's 8 gigs of RAM. So for me personally, I would not jump up and down on that savings. I would go for the 16 gigs, that extra $100, because this is soldered RAM. And so once you buy it, you're stuck. And 8 gigs is quite a bit of a bottleneck. So I would avoid 8 gigs if you're a creative professional. If you're a student or even like a business owner, and you don't do a ton of multitasking, you don't use a ton of very robust tools, then you could get away with it. But for creators, I definitely recommend 16 gigs of RAM. All right, this is probably this is my top pick of the video. So if you're wondering what is Ben's top pick of the video, like, newsflash, right here, this is my top pick of the video. $1,400, you get AMD Ryzen AI 9 365. You get a 2-in-1 laptop that's pen compatible. You get 32 gigs of RAM and a 1 terabyte SSD. And and the pen's included. So if I were you, this would be the laptop that I would personally buy. Just because of like the price point and the features, and it's 1 generation old, so they're launching the latest, newest AI 9 Max and Max Pro. That's the new AMD CPUs. So this is just 1 generation old, but it's got everything you need. Man, it's a solid buy. So that'd be my big recommendation for this video. Now, it's not a cheap laptop. It's definitely more the premium price point, but it's a really good buy, and it gets you really everything you need. Okay, next up would be the Lenovo IdeaPad Flex 5. This is like a competitor of the Yoga 7i. However, the Yoga 7i has a newer CPU, and I've enjoyed the Yoga 7i's build quality better than the IdeaPad Flex 5. So from a personal standpoint, I would lean towards the Yoga, but it's nice to have another option. If for whatever reason you're not a Yoga fan, this is a good option, and it's $600. Normally $899, normally $900. So this could be a good option as well. But I personally am a much bigger fan of the Yoga series than I am the IdeaPad Flex series. Now, next up would be the Asus ZenBook Duo. This is the one you want to buy, okay? They have the Asus ZenBook Duo in an Ultra 7. I would not buy the Ultra 7 version. You can see here, this is the Ultra 9. And normally the price of the Ultra 9 version is actually $16 or $18.99. I know it says $16.99 here, but if I'm not mistaken, it's actually like $18.99. I could be wrong. Go ahead and price check me, fact check me. This might actually be in all aligned, but $14.99 is a solid price for this device heading into 2025. If you're looking for this device and you've been waiting for a sale, this is a good opportunity. And I really enjoy the performance of this device matched with the Ultra 9. I would not buy this with the Ultra 7. I think it's underpowered. Okay, next thing to be looking at is the ThinkPad X13. If you're somebody who wants to get a prosumer device, man, the ThinkPad is where you want to go. Build quality, this is the ThinkPad X13, 2-in-1 laptop, 165U, so you have that, vPro chipset in there from Intel, 16 gigs of RAM, and a 1 terabyte SSD. These are definitely expensive devices. In my opinion, they overprice them and then they discount them later on. But ThinkPad has been known for their longevity, the durability of the device, and they just have like a cult following. And so if you're somebody who's looking for an X13, really any ThinkPad device, this would be a good time to buy. Now, as we go through this video, as you can see, like if you're looking for a budget-friendly model, like a cheaper device, I would look for around that $600 price point, and I would definitely start at 16 gigs of RAM. If you're somebody who's wanting to have a better device for multitasking, I would look for 32 gigs of RAM, and I think the sweet spot for that price point is going to be around $900 to $1,300. And then as you get into more premium devices with like color accuracy or 2 screens, obviously you can check out the Asus Duo or something like a PX 13, which I didn't pull up yet. Yeah, that's another one I want to pull up. The Asus ProArt PX13. So this device is actually on sale right now, and it's about $250 off. And this is going to have the Asus Dial, 32 gigs of RAM, Ryzen AI 9 HX 370 CPU, and RTX 4050. This is where I would buy. I would buy the 4050 version. I've tested both the RTX 4050 and the 4060. They perform almost the same, and they are fantastic graphic design, video editing, photography, digital art devices. 2-in-1, touch, pen compatible, fantastic. Okay, let's go ahead and get back into our Newegg selections. Okay, this is not a 2-in-1 laptop, but I couldn't believe the price on this one. Okay, so what we have here is the ThinkPad P16. This is actually like a 3D modeling masterpiece. This is a very expensive device that is on sale. I would ignore that, retail price. I would say this one should retail around $4,000, $4,000 to $4,500. They always like show the big marked up price, but you can really find these for around $4,000 to $4,500. So even at $2,689, this is an insane price, and it's going to be great for 3D modeling, SolidWorks, Autodesk 3ds Max, Autodesk Maya, PTC Creo, architecture. This is the Mac Daddy. The P16 is awesome. It's got vPro, RTX 4000, 64 gigs of RAM. Stellar buy. All right, next thing we're looking at is we're diving into Amazon. So both international and domestic, I'm in the US, domestic shoppers. So we have the LG Gram Super Slim. So this is the Intel Core Ultra 7. We have 32 gigs of RAM and a 2 terabyte SSD and a insanely thin device. I mean, it's crazy how thin this thing is. So this will be great for somebody who wants to be on the go. It's very color accurate, really good option for a laptop. Going to be more of a premium price because of the build and assembly of this device. You're not exactly paying for all out performance, though you do have 32 gigs of RAM, so it's a good buy. But this is a really good option as well. And then we also have the 14-inch model of just the straight LG Gram, so a little bit thicker than the Super Slim, but a better price point. 16 gigs of RAM, 512 Intel Core Ultra 5. Like I said, that 16 gigs of RAM, you want to have it around that $800, $850 price point. So this hits the nail on the head. So if you're looking for a thin laptop, on-the-go friendly, again, pen compatible, this is a great spot to be. Next is the Microsoft Surface Pro. This is the latest model, 32 gigs of RAM, touchscreen OLED display, Snapdragon X Elite. This is normally an expensive laptop at around $2,100, and we're seeing it for $1,549. So I think this is one of the best laptops if you're a digital artist. The pen compatibility, you can get a keyboard that embeds the pen. I really enjoyed it. I'm actually have to do a follow-up review. I did my initial review a few months ago, and I want to do my follow-up review because I've reviewed other stuff since then, and this is still one of my favorite devices that I've reviewed for digital artists since that initial review. So I definitely want to touch back on that device, but good price point on sale right now, heading into 2025. The Dell Inspiron 16 Plus. Now, the reason I picked this one, and it's around that $1,349 price point. Now, this is not a 2-in-1, keep in mind, but this is something for somebody who wants like a digital, video editing, motion design, because you have an RTX 4060, 32 gigs of RAM, 2 terabyte SSD, and a 2.5K display with an Intel Core Ultra 7 155H. So it's got good performance. It's got a good screen. I've actually reviewed this one, and I think it's kind of the most understated laptops. It's something that people don't often pay attention to. It's got great build quality. This is a really good device that I would keep my eye on, and it has a nice sale price right now on Amazon. Okay, next we have the Plus, but without the dedicated GPU in the 14-inch model. Now, earlier we looked at the Dell Inspiron 2-in-1 earlier in the video, but now we're looking at just the straight Dell Inspiron 14 Plus, which means no touch, no 2-in-1 pen compatibility. But we have 2.8K display, and then we have 32 gigs of RAM, Intel Core 7 and 155H, 1 terabyte SSD with Intel Art graphics. So this would be good for like light video editing, say like 1080p, some light 4K, graphic design. But again, you're not going to have an insanely color accurate display. You will have, I'm pretty sure these have 100% sRGB. But again, fact check me on that before you pull the trigger if you want to buy that. I forgot to mention, as always, links are in the description below if you want to check the live pricing, see if things are still on sale. But of course, as we go through this video, trying to explain what's a good deal, what's not, based on some of the specs. Okay, the Dell Inspiron 14 2-in-1. This is the laptop for sale on Amazon. So we had some for sale on Best Buy earlier, $599 on Amazon. We have the AMD Ryzen 5 8640HS, 16 gigs of RAM, and a 512 SSD, including the stylus. So definitely a good pick if you're wanting to kind of get your stylus and your computer all in one. And again, this is a full HD screen. So it's going to be touch pen compatible, but it's not going to have high color accuracy and color gamut range. Keep that in mind. Now, these are the laptops that are coming out in 2025 that I think are showcasing good price point to performance. So if you're somebody looking for a laptop heading into 2025 and you're not wanting to wait on the newest launches of CPUs and GPUs, use this as the guide to kind of shop around and compare prices. That'll be helpful in making the right purchase with the cash that you have for the investment that you're going to be making. Remember, links are in the description below if you want to check the live pricing. You can even check the open box prices on Best Buy. Of course, if you do use those links, I'll get a small commission, but at no extra cost to you. Click or tap the screen here if you want more videos to help with your buying decision. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.